So, when you picture Saudi Arabia, what's the first thing that pops into your head? It's probably oil, right? Maybe immense wealth. But there's this huge paradox hiding just beneath the surface, a total lack of water. So how does a country literally built on sand tackle a problem that big? Well, the answer is, well, it's one of the most mind-blowing engineering projects in history.
It's this incredible contradiction, isn't it? Having a golden palace, but only a couple of sips of water. This one single challenge has really shaped modern Saudi Arabia, pushing them to find a solution on a scale we've just never seen before.
And this is why. 0. That's how many natural, permanent rivers exist in the entire country. None. You've got a nation sitting on this massive sea of oil, but it's surrounded by scorching hot desert with almost no rain. Now, for a while, they did have a secret stash of water, but that secret, it was about to run out.
Okay, so to get a handle on their first attempt at a solution, we actually have to go deep underground. For decades, Saudi Arabia was tapping into this hidden treasure, something buried way down beneath the sand, and for a time, it really seemed like it was limitless.
They called it fossil water. This isn't your regular groundwater that gets refilled every time it rains. This is ancient water trapped down there for millennia. The analogy on the screen is perfect. It's like a battery. You can never, ever recharge. Once you use it, it's just gone. And believe it or not, for decades, this one-time use battery supplied 70% of the entire country's water.
So where did it all go wrong? Well, back in the 70s, there was this huge push to become self-sufficient in food. The idea? Let's grow wheat in the desert. Yeah. It was an amazing dream, but it came with this absolutely devastating side effect. Fast forward to 2016, and a NASA report drops, confirming what many already feared. The country was draining its ancient water reserves at a frankly unbelievable rate. We're talking 2 trillion liters every single year. That non-rechargeable battery? It was on its last legs. So where was all this incredibly precious water going? You can see it right here. A staggering 85% of it was being poured into agriculture, just trying to make crops grow in one of the driest places on the planet. The government finally realized this was a total dead end and had to shut the whole program down. Suddenly, they were staring down a full-blown crisis. I mean, if you can't rely on the water under your feet, what's the alternative?
You build a new one. That's what. Which brings us to a plan so huge, so audacious, it sounds like something straight out of science fiction. The thinking was, if nature won't give us a river, fine, we'll engineer our own. Just look at that number, 12,000 kilometers. Let that sink in for a second. That's the planned length of this new, completely man-made river network. It's a project on a scale the world has literally never seen, all designed to solve their water problem for good.
And look, this isn't just some big pipe. It's basically a subterranean river. They're building the whole thing underground so the scorching desert heat doesn't just make it all evaporate. We're talking about a network that's designed to be twice the length of the River Nile, using these massive, special anti-corrosion pipes. The amount of material they're using is it's mind-boggling. If you took all the pipes and laid them end to end, they could wrap around the entire planet. No joke.
And what's the goal of all this? To produce 9.4 billion liters of fresh water every single day. But that leads to the big question, right? If there are no natural rivers and the fossil water is now off limits, where on earth is all this water supposed to come from? The answer is out at sea.
The plan is to take salt water from the Red Sea and the Persian Gulf and turn it into fresh water, using some seriously advanced desalination tech. The first method is called multi-stage flash. Basically, you heat up seawater and then you pass it through these chambers where the pressure gets lower and lower. This makes it flash into steam at a lower temperature, leaving all the salt behind. Then you just collect that steam and condense it back into pure, drinkable water. Pretty clever.
Then there's the other method, which is a bit more modern. Reverse osmosis. This is wild. You use super high pressure to force seawater against this special membrane. The pores in it are so microscopic that only the tiny water molecules can squeeze through. Salt, impurities, even viruses, no chance. They get left behind. But, and this is a big but, both of these incredible technologies have a hidden cost. They take a colossal amount of energy to run.
So problem solved, right? Technology saves the day. Well, not quite. Because when you create this much fresh water, you're also creating a pretty toxic legacy, and it's one that's usually kept out of sight. Experts call it the invisible threat, because the whole process creates this nasty byproduct that most of us would never even think about. See, when you take this salt out of seawater, you're left with two things: pure water and a whole lot of leftover salt. And when I say a whole lot, I'm not kidding. We are talking about 329,000 tons of this super salty chemical-filled waste, it's called brine, being produced every single day.
To try and get your head around that number, it's the same weight as 1,645 blue whales. You know, the heaviest animal on Earth. Imagine that much waste being created daily. And it has to go somewhere. So where does it go? For the most part, it gets dumped right back into the ocean.
And as you can probably guess, this is absolutely devastating for marine life. This brine is way hotter and much, much saltier than the normal seawater. So it sinks and it just smothers the ocean floor like a thick, toxic blanket. This creates these oxygen-starved dead zones where coral reefs die off and fish just can't survive. It's a threat to the entire coastal ecosystem. So, realizing they've created this whole new environmental crisis, Saudi Arabia is now in another race to innovate, not just to create water anymore, but to figure out how to do it sustainably. So, what's next?
Well, instead of just dumping the brine straight into the sea, new solutions are starting to pop up. One idea is to use these deep-sea diffusers, which helps spread out the brine over a much wider area to minimize the immediate impact. But the really game-changing idea is something called brine mining. This completely reframes the problem. Instead of treating the brine as waste, you treat it as a resource. The goal is to actually pull out valuable minerals like magnesium and potassium right from the brine. You could create a whole new industry while solving a massive environmental problem.
I mean, the scale of this whole project is so wild that it's already landed in the Guinness World Records as the largest water pipeline network on the planet, and they're not even done yet.
But that achievement comes with another huge price tag: energy. Water doesn't like to flow uphill, right? So pumping all that water from the coast to cities far inland, some of them up in the mountains, takes these enormous pumping stations. And those stations consume a staggering 9% of the entire country's electricity, just for pumping water. And yet, here's maybe the most powerful symbol of this whole transformation. In 2027, Saudi Arabia, the country with 0 natural rivers, is set to host the World Water Forum. It's like a declaration to the rest of the world that, hey, even the most impossible environments can be transformed with enough technology and sheer willpower.
Which brings us right back to our final question. This Saudi artificial river, it's a monument to human ingenuity, right? It's a project that just defies nature itself. But as it solves one massive problem, it creates others. And it makes you wonder, not just for Saudi Arabia, but for all of us. Can technology really conquer geography? And maybe more importantly, what's the price we're willing to pay when we try?